Welcome back, everybody, to the Behind the Brand podcast. My name is Curtis and I'm the host. And you're probably wondering who the hell is sitting next to me. Well, we have James here from OPT Fitness. And for today's guest, we have Ross from Four Corners Boxing Experience. How you doing, mate?
I was doing good.
You good?
A bit more chilled out since the last time
I was going to say, you must be super relaxed now. This is a totally different setting.
Totally.
You can either feel worse here because you're not in your own space.
Oh no, this is totally better.
It's better, right?
Totally
That's fine. There's drink of water there. You can lie back, relax yourself. Just relax. So we were actually at a recent Four Corners Boxing Experience event, which is taking place in the Normandy. We were actually meant to get Ross on, but then we agreed it'd actually be better to wait
do it afterwards
for your event, to then we can actually chat about the kind of what your business is, what exactly the event does and how it runs, because you've also got a couple coming up.
Yep, we're going to have two this year, so
we can chat about that. But the main reason why you're here, James, is because he was part of the behind the brand team that was basically filming a lot of stuff, because you guys very kindly let us come and do a lot of filming as well, which was absolutely class as well.
It was brilliant for us as well, just to have you there, so it was really...
And I'm really looking forward. I've not even scratched the surface with half the footage we've got.
How much there is.
How much we've got, but some of the bits are tasty as well. So if you're into boxing and stuff like that, make sure to check out. It'll probably either be your socials or our socials.
I'm sure we'll get shared far and wide,
because we want to get your event punted out, so that's the main thing. But we got a chance to interview all your guys as well. But before we even dig into all that sort of stuff, could you give us a wee introduction as to who you are and how you get involved with the Four Corners Boxing Experience?
Yep, so it's a kind of long-winded story about how it kind of came about. So I originally came from an army background, left army 2018, boxed in the army, trained the regimental team in the army as well, and boxed on the army development team. Had a couple of fights for them, got out, fell back into boxing, kind of had one or two fights. Well, admit, kind of fell out of love with it, had a couple of bad decisions, was getting a wee bit older, drifted away, just kind of stuck to fitness, eventually get into the fire service, kind of let it kind of go to the side, and then got an opportunity to start doing one-to-ones in the gym. I originally was just going to do it for fitness, because I was studying my level 2 and level 3 PT, so I was like, well, you've got the boxing stuff, train guys up for boxing, and then while you're doing that course, it's getting you that experience of working with people at the same time. One guy came, said he wanted to get a fight, so I started asking about it. Still had contacts when I was in before, got him on a white collar show, had his fight, and then they had another show 3 or 4 months later, really good shows, but this time I had 6 guys that all wanted to do the same. So then we're getting in that situation where you can't keep rocking up to people's shows and saying, can you get 6 guys in the card? Mm-hmm. Where are they going to go? Then it was sit down with a bit of pen and paper and think about doing it myself, and that's how 4CBX came about. It was originally just one guy, 6 guys, became more, bit of paper, and then developed into what you've seen on Friday night. So, and
you guys are affiliated with Four Corners Boxing, is that
so
right?
We just rent the space. There.
Right.
Aye, so we just use that as they're a separate entity, but we just rent the space there on a Monday night for the actual training itself.
That's class. Honestly, it was so good, because I wasn't too aware of what a white collar boxing event is.
Yep.
I would say you were more inclined to know what it was. You're a fan of boxing as well, which
Absolutely.
is another great reason why you obviously came along as well. But you enjoyed yourself in the event, actually, didn't you?
I had an absolutely brilliant night. I had as good a night, I think, watching and filming as I did if I was taking part.
Aye.
As a guest.
As a guest there.
I'm not sure I would have a greater time taking part.
Peter actually probably enjoyed being punched in the face.
Well, I love a bit of boxing, and I train people to do boxing. I use boxing as my medium for fitness in the classes as well, because it's so good. So, you know, if there's ever a really old man's category, I might
the standby list.
You could get a Santa v Santa. Something like that.
A Santa off.
We've got a show in November. It's kind of Christmassy time, innit?
Perfect time of the year.
There you go.
Maybe the actual Santa's ready. No, but it was great. I think, like, people are probably wondering, like, what actually is the event. Like, I know you've obviously explained with the fighters and stuff like that, but could you dig a wee bit more into detail as to what actually happens at these events and how people kind of find you guys and what it kind of takes to take part in this?
So we basically just have a kind of open sign up through our Instagram page. I'd kind of do all the social media stuff. Actually, that came about back in January. I tore my meniscus, my knee, after we booked the first show, and I kind of delved into doing the social media side of it, but I was like, I was off actually for like 3 months, more or less. Couldn't train, couldn't really do much, couldn't work just because of my job. And I was more or less laid up on the couch, and I just started studying online marketing and reading a book on why things stick, and just watching how to make clips, and then started promoting stuff, and the sign-ups just started rolling in. And then the way it works is, so we get the guys, they come in on week 1 and we train them up for a kind of vigorous 8 weeks. At week 5 or 6 we pair them off and we split them, and then they go and train separately for 2 weeks. One does a fitness session, one does a boxing session, then we all come back together in week 8, final wee session together, and then it's a shake of hands and see you on Friday night. We've tried to tailor the training so it's quite team based. I think we spoke about this on Friday, where we're trying to take out that kind of, oh, he's a this, he's a that, I'm going to batter him and blah blah blah. And I think that kind of comes from a kind of military background, where it was, you were a team and that was it, and guys did fight each other. Sometimes you go to championships or whatever, you were against each other, but I think by running that kind of team ethos through it, just kills off all that negativity. And obviously you were in the crowd. I hope that showed on the Friday night, because there wasn't really that animosity amongst the crowd. Whereas
if anything, it was more winding people up, but not in a way that it could have caused bedlam.
Because I was very conscious of that from the start. Like even the first show, because we'd done the ringside tickets are reserved, but the rest is unreserved. And even the last one, we had a couple of young guys fighting, and one had sold 40 tickets, one had sold 50, and we actually did reserve tables for the unreserved just to strategically keep them apart. And there was never going to be any bother. I think that was just an anxiety in the back of my head, going, oh, what if he says something to him and blah blah blah. And then this time we just went, you know what, that's why you hire loads of security, and that's why you've tried to have that team ethos, and we just let it go. And it was like the security both times have said this is one of the easiest gigs we've ever had. I
think I said to you on Friday night, I've been to comedy gigs where there's been more fighting in the crowd than there was there. It was so good. And they said there was a couple of the boys had really big supports. And some of them you looked at and you thought, oh god, that's just a bunch of young lads.
The one guy had
drinking for hours, and you're thinking, oh,
it was like the one guy had like the one side. See the left. If you're looking at it from the stage, just that one, it's just a wave of these guys. Because he won his fight. Luckily enough, obviously, I think if he didn't win his fight, maybe it would have caused bedlam. But he was really, really good. But when he was like showboating to the crowd at one point, getting them all involved, and I thought, this is what it's all about.
As long as it always stays that kind of good tone, then we'll always be happy with that. And we've spoken about it before, I would never be scared to tell somebody you're only getting 10 tickets based on what the potential in the crowd. Like if that was ever going to happen, we just need to nip it in the bud at the time.
No, absolutely. It was really, really good, and I think even the whole team thing was shown backstage, which hopefully folk will see when they see that the kind of footage, the full footage of the fighters sitting chatting with each other beforehand, and then they would walk out and battering lumps out of each other, and then back in having a chat, and have you got your thing, and making sure everybody was.
I think at one point they were sharing a half bottle of Buckfast.
We've seen somebody was. It's still Paisley.
Take the boy out of Paisley, but
I mean, the boys were there. I think after their fight, they were letting their hair down. It was like an event. I've done numerous events in the Normandy, never anything like a boxing event or anything like that. So I'm like, we would have done the exact same thing. We would have done the exact same thing. How many of these events have you had on so far?
So this was the second. We ran the first one. Camp started in the January with the show in the March, and then this one, obviously, last week was the.
So this literally came to life this year, then?
Yeah, pretty much. This was a bit of paper in November last year, which I've kept a bit of paper.
Have you?
I kept it. It's going to get framed. A couple of tickets in it as it develops. I
thought it was brilliant. Honestly, down to the organisational side of it as well. You guys were fantastic. The team that you had was fantastic. The staff at the Normandy Hotel were fantastic.
Oh, they were brilliant. I emailed them first thing on Monday morning just to thank them for everything.
And I've been to horror nights, like tribute nights there, like when I performed, and it's been like women scrapping on the dance floor and nobody's bothered to do it. Whereas even the simple thing like keeping the walkway clear for the fighters and stuff to come out, they were like so on it. It was just amazing to see and quite refreshing actually.
Everything just kind of worked. Like even
took an interest.
The first show, me and my wife kind of had a discussion. I was like, what we'll do is in the drive home, we'll talk about what worked, what didn't work, what we need to change, and we just drove back in silence. No silence, but just chatting and talking about how good it was. And I was like, where's this conversation coming that what we need to change? And I think the kind of main thing was don't change it. Don't let it run away with itself. Don't start trying to add things and make it this and make it that. It's working, and don't let it run away with itself, and just 100% enjoy it for what it is.
We just had that conversation about this studio, didn't we?
Yeah.
What's the point of changing things if it's
working?
If it's working.
100%.
Change is good if it's required.
Yeah.
But don't change something for the sake of changing it.
Yep.
People will tell, you need to progress, you need to move on, you need to change. Change doesn't have to be though. Right, we're going to do something different.
Oh yeah.
It could just be, instead of having one female fight, we have 3.
You get 2.
There's a change.
Aye.
Straight away. It doesn't have to be, any big material thing.
Aye.
So
you don't have fireworks and explosions and thingies. And
I think if you ask the 500 people that were in your crowd, any one of them will say, it was brilliant, don't change anything.
As long as they walk away and that's what they think at the end, and job's done.
Yeah,
really.
Absolutely.
I was really impressed with the fact that there was like no bother there at all.
Aye.
We felt, I was actually, because the way I was filming around the ring and try to capture like audience sort of parts, a lot of them were like speaking to me while I was filming.
Yep.
And they're like, oh, big man, get me in, all that sort of stuff. I think they think I'm the photographer, but I'm not really. But every single one of them, there wasn't like an animosity or anything like that.
I think we try to kill that off in the camp, and it seems to be working by killing it off, because especially they don't know who they're fighting, so they build that bond. We spoke about this as well a bit. They build that bond in the first 5 weeks. Even the specific finishers that we do on the workout, so like the first week it's med ball sprints as a team, it's all randomly allocated. Right. Week 2 it's tug of war, then the next it's always finishing with something that you're against another. We'll split them down into groups of 2s or 3s, but not necessarily the person that they're fighting, so they're always building that beforehand, and that obviously then pushes on to their mates that are coming. It's not like they're going, this guy's that, I'm going to batter him, I'm going to this. They're already pals before they go in, so if there is any animosity, they'd be the first one to shut it down.
Yeah,
you could tell that though, because they were all quite thingy with each other and quite firm, even after, like, they were dead friendly and dead supportive, but were quick to tell one another, like, no, you need to do that. Even interviews, I thought that was going to be a nightmare. So for those, again, you'll see this in the coming weeks, we did a lot of interviews with the fighters and things, and I thought, see, when you try to get people like that kind of, they're only used to the cameras, only used to that sort of stuff, it's a nightmare. An absolute nightmare trying to get people to just come and speak.
Just speak freely.
Speak and be on the camera, you know what I mean? They really, really do not like it. Every single one of them took it in their stride. And were quick to say, Paul, you're next. Oh, I got somebody's name right
Fitzy, one of the coaches did say he was queuing up down for his chance to speak.
He was itching. I could see him at the back. He was just like,
he came out and he went, I got an interview. And I was like, you weren't leaving there until you got an interview regardless. So
got to give it to the coaches though. They were fantastic. Their team, absolutely fantastic, every one of them. And they support. They kind of supported everybody, didn't they? Like, so they were there in everybody's corner, which we noticed.
So we talk about change. The first time round, we told the coaches who they were calling for the kind of week of the fight, and it never, I'm trying to word this the way it goes, so it's not like they kind of branched off, but I kind of got the feeling that they were starting to get that vibe of my guys or girls and your guys and girls, and it wasn't in a bad way, that they weren't trying to create teams or anything. It was just that, it's like a natural way. I'm in your corner, so I'll kind of look after you this week. And it was only the last week, so then decided what we'll do is nobody will find out who's cornering them, and it won't be allocated until the night, and it will be allocated completely randomly. That's and it's non-negotiable, and it will no change. So there's no some people become a wee bit more pally with others, or they kind of do a wee bit extra training with somebody, or so it just kind of annihilated that. You could have been doing a wee bit more with somebody for 6 weeks, and then you're in the corner against them on the night. It just completely mixes it up, and there's no favouritism, there's no sides. It's just everybody gets an equal roll of the dice.
And are they a part of the whole training thing?
Yeah, so there's certain nights, obviously, people with families and things will drift in and out. There might be 2 days there, there could be 4 days, but we're all there for the whole 8 weeks.
I think I'm intrigued to know what the sort of things you do during the training. Like, is it all so like with you and your classes, you'll kind of teach upon like technique, partner work sort of stuff, and then it'll come to a point where it'll be a lot of fitness required, so you're doing like, I mean, I've not been in his class in ages, to be fair, so I can't really. You probably best say what you do in your classes, and it'd been to see how much they kind of match up with what you do.
I think the difference to ours is about fitness, so, but using boxing as the medium. So we do a lot of pad work. So, expressing, how important it is to get the pads right.
Yep.
For both the pad user and the boxer. Because I think a lot of people don't realise how injured as a boxer you can be if somebody's
hold pads incorrectly.
It's quite bad. But then we also do a lot of fitness based stuff. So there's running involved. It is 10 3-minute rounds we do.
Yep.
Which is something we touched on in the interview as well. But 10 3-minute rounds, and you do 5 rounds as a boxer, 5 rounds as a pad holder.
All right, yeah.
So it's really, really good. It's not box fit. It's not boxer size. Boxer size. Malarkey. Sorry. But we teach them technique.
Yeah, I think that's massively important.
Where do you box from? Where does a power come from? If you're doing combination punches that are under 10, then I'm looking for power.
Yep.
Combination punches above 10, I'm looking for speed. Things like that, so that they know. I can't go in there and throw 22 punches and use every ounce of my body.
Aye.
You'll be drained.
It's not going to happen. Aye.
So that's kind of what I do with mine.
Yep.
And then we incorporate. You'll have a leg round, a core round, a cardio round, just a basic builder round as well. So we build combinations.
Yeah.
So
I just adding bits on every time.
Yeah, that's what I do. So that's what ours is, but that's just fitness based.
Aye. So the way I always we've tried to kind of write it down to keep it the same, so it's consistent throughout. So the first session is just a fitness session, and it's kind of, this is what you're up. This is what it's going to be like for the next 8 weeks. So if somebody came in the first week, had that absolute grilling of a fitness session, it's all pairs in the bag. So one guy's doing 10 punches, while one guy's doing 10 press ups, and then swapping. But we also started bringing in, well, you got jump on that bag, you're introducing yourself every time you change bags, so they'll get to meet each other. There's not just punching with a stranger. So we get them, when you take that bag and you're holding it for that guy, tell him 2 facts about yourself while he's hitting the bag, or introduce different bits of your life to them, so that you start to know each other straight away for the get go. So the first week is just it's grueling. They say it's fun to watch for the first. So
it's easy when you're standing at the side, isn't it?
And then as long as they'll come back in week 2, then we break into kind of fundamentals, what I would call it. So it's just straight shots, and even guys that have done a couple before, we just strip it right back, because I'm very much with the guys that I want to win with. It's all straight shots, 1-2s, right hands, no throwing silly hooks. It's everything just keep nice and tidy. And then week 3, sparring, first time. So for a lot of people, first time being punched in the face. So we do that in week 3. And then 4 and 5, it's just all skill based. So partner drills, bag work, pad work, just building up those basics and making it a bit tidier and a bit crisper. And then you've got the split. And then we have one group, because everyone does a boot camp. So we actually done it. I don't know if you've seen the pictures. We've done it.
You were saying this, but I've not seen it. In fact, it was it was Ross. No,
Robert. It was fighting.
Robert.
Robert's kind of building his boot camp just now, so he offered to take the team through it. And so we originally had done it up at the hub in Johnston, and it just happened to be, I think it was about an hour before the session, Glennie phoned me. He went, "We've got an issue. It's a bank holiday Monday. It's like, hub shut." Oh no. He's like, "What do we do?" And I'm like, "These guys are turning up at the hub in an hour." Blah blah. So spoke to Robert. I was like, "Well, why don't we just go to a park?" I was like, "Get 2 big cars, we've got our stuff in, we'll go and take it outside." And then it was sun was splitting the sky for group 1, done it outside with the net out, we had him crawling in it. His session was brilliant. He actually brings in a bit of, it's kind of like the Navy SEAL training. Right. So he does all the circuit, does a kind of finisher with the rope. I don't spoil too much of what he does. And then at the end, he gives him a bit of a burpee beasting, and he hangs a bell up on the goals. And he says, "This only keeps going until you ring that bell." And obviously, remember, they're potential, in fact, we'd split at this point, but they're all trying to compete against each other. Nobody wanted to be the first guy or girl to get up and ring that bell. So they just kept going. And I think it was like 20-25 minutes of burpees, and then crawl to the other side, crawl back, burpees, until he's like, one is going to break, and then we done it again once he swapped round. And group 2, they never get the same sun split in the sky. It was absolutely torrential.
Was it? Oh no.
It was Robert's ex-military. He's ex-military as well, so 2 of us are just standing there basking in the ambience of this battle PT session.
Brilliant.
Do you know what, I actually said, I don't know if it's one of those ones because you were at the event and stuff like that, but I loved it, and I was like, that's something I would love to do. I'd love to be a part of it, right? But I'll tell you right now, I don't think I'd make it. I don't think I'd make it.
Doing burpees in the park.
Make it 2 minutes, and I'd be up bringing that bell. I would have one of the wee bells in my pocket. I'm not going to white flag and stuff like that. Do you get a lot of people though that are first time with this sort of stuff, like no previous experience with boxing, even fitness and things like that included?
Well, Tyler that we spoke about, he'd obviously never been in a boxing gym until the first training session, to the point where the guys were having to show him how to wrap his hands, how to get extra gloves off the shelf and going for week 3, how to mould a gum shield, and it was literally everything. And then I was kind of nervous for him, like how's he going to react when he goes in with all these people, and then he won. He went in absolutely boxed out skin, so that was brilliant to see. And with the photographer there as well, and he was kind of wanting to follow the journey for week 1 all the way through, and he was like, is there anybody I should kind of focus on the journey? I was like, well, this guy's never been in a boxing gym, so keep a wee eye and then see how that progresses. So that'll be good to see as well. I think he'll maybe do a wee kind of photo diary for week 1 through sort of all the way. So
fantastic.
Did he win his fight?
He won.
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
Aye.
Just shows you proofs in the pudding.
So it's obviously it's working. I think that whole kind of, we're talking about the ringing the bell, that session would be good as well if it was before the split, because I reckon if your opponent was there, after the split, but both squads been there, because if the guy you're fighting's there, you're not going to want to ring that bell. And I think that's what brought in a lot of the kind of good training is in the weeks up to the split, they don't know who they're fighting, so we'd maybe put in the group chat, listen, we're going to go for a run at 5 a.m. Anybody wants to come, you're welcome to come. It's not like a mandatory session. A few are meeting up, and the first morning I turned up and there was like 10 cars sitting outside the gym at 4:45 in the morning, but they know in their head that potentially the guy that they're fighting is going to be there at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Getting on the edge.
So they've always got, and you'll never see a guy run up a hill faster knowing that potentially his opponent is running up beside him, giving them that mental edge all the time. So I think that brought in, they pushed themselves in training so much even before they knew who they were fighting, because they knew in that group. I think when you're fighting when I was fighting, you don't see your opponent. They're training in a gym in Motherwell, or they're training somewhere else, or it's not even been matched. Like the amateurs, if you go to a Scottish Championship, you don't find out until 20 minutes before who you're fighting, whereas they know that's in that group. I would always, when I trained, I had my head right, somebody's out there training to fight you, he's training, but they're seeing it firsthand, they're witnessing that guy
it does give
training,
that wee
or
extra
girl,
motivation, doesn't it?
Aye, so that kind of pushed them, I think.
And that is a good point as well that you make, because we obviously noticed that obviously it wasn't just an all male card, there was females there. And I think you guys would love to have more females.
Oh, we would
on
definitely.
the card.
That was one of the kind of best fights of the night as well. And
it actually was, genuinely, if it wasn't for Max and Joe.
Max and Joe,
if it wasn't for their fight, I actually thought the girls would have probably got. What I was impressed with was that apart from one fight, all your fights lasted.
Yep.
The full 3 rounds.
Yep.
Because you did, what was it, 3 2-minute rounds?
3 2 minutes, yeah.
And I'm like, for people that have never done this maybe before, I know a lot of people were first time, some people were obviously done it before and things. I was really impressed at how long they were able
been able to go for the paramedic actually commented on that. She said we could tell the level of training kind of equated to safe fights, because they were all able to go the 3 2-minute rounds and nobody came out hurt. I think she did the kind of easiest job of the night, just got to enjoy the boxing, and she was like, absolute.
I don't think I even seen the paramedic.
I've seen them arriving, but I didn't see them.
I think all she had to do is come do her checks and then sit ringside and wait.
It's actually something, but one of the things that I think I kind of need to explain, I said in the interview afterwards, not to you, when we were doing our wrap up, and I think maybe now I think back it will come across wrong when I was talking about the boys giving their all, and it was only 3 2-minute rounds.
Yep.
What I meant by that was, look what they did in 3 2-minute rounds. My good God, because they were all out. I mean, I just said you can't throw 20 punches in a row at full force and expect not to be burnt out.
Yeah.
These guys did it for 3 2-minute rounds.
3 2s,
at no point, I can't think any of the fights where there was any kind of shadow or running away from each other. They were just bang at it.
Even the first fight kind of set that tone, I think.
Straight away. Well, that was
they boys were absolutely going hell for leather at one point.
Straight away.
And I was like, it's going to be one. See those rocking, socking boxing games when one of the heads goes up. It was like one of them. I thought
that was actually commented on the last one. I can't remember who it was. Somebody said that compared to when you go to see some professional fights and whatever else, there's a lot of holding. And they kind of take the breather, and even I've done it in the amateurs, like you kind of lean on each other and you get that mutual kind of agreement of, let's just take a wee breath here and then we'll go for it again. And after we stepped back for the last show, I went, well, that's because we never actually taught them how to hold on. And I went, should we have? And we kind of agreed, nah, we don't need to. Like, it's a bad habit. They don't need to be taught to clench. So we taught them how to kind of turn each other on the ropes and kind of move each other about within the rules of boxing without kind of holding on or throwing each other about. But we're like, we don't really need to go down that route, because the only way they know is to have a straight stand-up boxing match now. So let's just keep it that way.
At one point there was a couple of fights where, I mean, you've got the thing there, can I see it? There was a couple of fights that I thought were very, very tasty, particularly the boy with the he shaved his head off, but he had a big mustache. I can't remember. Is it Paul? Is his name Paul?
Barry.
Yep. I thought their fight was quite tasty.
That was really good.
Quite tasty.
Both dead awkward styled fighters, and put them together, and it was a really, really good
one
fight.
of the boys was huge, absolutely huge.
Connor, tall, rangy, really effective, and Barry's got a really awkward style, and it's quite hard to get around. I've only kind of never actually sparred him with it, and was just holding pads and standing at ringside. He's quite hard to handle. The two of them are undefeated as well, so it was good.
Somebody had to lose it. I mean, look at Tyson and Usyk. You know what I mean? I'm just glad you didn't have any egos like that on the night.
No.
Could you imagine? No, I just thought some of the. I mean, you particularly, you loved a couple of the fights that were going on.
Some of the fights for me, obviously, the first fight of the night, I think, always sets the tone.
Yeah.
Always sets the tone. And the fact that Tyler and Cian come out and absolutely just
went for it straight away.
Like, oh, wait a minute. So there was literally none of this, find my range. And, I'll get the first one in. And I'll see what he feels like when he punches. No, they just went bang. It was 0 to 100 like that.
They're the two quietest guys in the gym.
Well, we said it. We couldn't even get a word out of Tyler when we were trying to do his interview.
Let's his fighting do his
I know
talking.
you're probably you might watch this, Tyler, but we need to get you sharpened up in the interview skills.
He'll need to get some media training.
That could be a part of your thing. Media training.
Absolutely. And I think, to be fair, I know we said it, but the girls, it's Neve and Naomi.
Oh.
Considering that there was a knockdown in that, she got up.
I've watched the video and straight back up.
Bang, you're thinking, wow, she took the count and everything else as you do, but she was straight, and it was back in,
straight back in.
The two of them, and considering there was an age difference between them, you couldn't tell in that fight, none at all. That was full on, and I think the fight of the night was Joe and Max.
Wow, everybody was talking about that before the night even started.
We were talking about it, and you could have sold tickets to watch them spam beforehand.
I can imagine. And I think it'd be interesting if those two had a longer fight.
Yeah, even just that wee extra round.
You think it's 2 minutes. You train for 2 minutes, so you think, right, I know I can go all out.
Just empty the tank.
If that's now 2 minutes,
where would that go?
I've maybe got to pace myself a little bit here.
Yep.
And I think those two had the ability to actually box.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not saying they didn't box, but they've got the ability to go, right, I'm picking these punches.
I start trying to outthink each other when they've got more rounds to do it.
Yeah, because I think it's very intelligent. Like, you get 8 weeks. I know it'll be a very intense 8 weeks.
Yep.
But could you imagine with them with an actual full-on more training and stuff like that? See, when the trainers, fighters get months of preparation. Yeah. Like, you could just imagine, because they two were fantastic.
The level was
because I think I actually, not that I'm a boxing professional or anything, but I would have gave them both a round each in that fight. So it literally was down to that last round.
Tied going into the third.
Which was incredible, honestly. And it brings so much enjoyment to that event, you know what I mean? Like, everybody gets a buzz from that.
It was great.
Would you consider doing that? Like, it was amazing. Would you consider doing that then for the next one? Maybe looking at fighters and going, they could probably last a 5-rounder? Or is it just due to timings?
I think we'd always just still keep it at the 3-2s, because we try and keep it to that kind of safe level, because in the amateurs now as well, they don't go past this. Always think the 3-3s now for seniors, but keeping it at the 3-2s, I think we'd always kind of keep the safety element in as well for them.
Absolutely.
Biggest thing about safety, is the referee. Oh, he's very, very quick. You know what I mean?
Brilliant.
Like, cutting things off, like he wasn't letting anything. He was making sure that everybody was safe in that ring.
Yeah. It's unusual as well, and I think we talked about this afterwards. Is the referee's job, as far as I'm concerned, is not to score a match. It's to notice what's going wrong with a fighter. Is a fighter hurt? A corner are the worst people in the world. Other than the fighter, fighters never want to stop.
They want to go in there regardless.
Yes, my eyes hanging out of my head. And I've got one arm. I'm fighting this guy. Whereas, and the corner might say, "Oh, that's a bit of a cut," or
you'll be fine.
Give
him
another 5 minutes. The ref, on the other hand, should be saying, and I think he showed it in the last fight.
Yeah, definitely.
The minute he was clearly hurt,
that was that.
Stepped in. Bang, I'm not even counting this boy. He's clearly hurt. We're not putting him through anymore. And it takes a brave ref to do that.
Because he's always there, the one that's on the opposite end of the fighter or the fighter's crowd, or making that decision to step in, because, like you said, they can not see it into the future, but they can see where it's going. And if that's happening in the first round, there's no point in just going and taking punches for another 2 for the same outcome to happen in 6 minutes time, but with 2 broken ribs and a concussion. Like, stop it where it stopped. And
I think he did really well. Could he have beat the count? Possibly. Yeah. Possibly he could.
Because he does have a lot of heart in his game, but sometimes bravery can overtake common sense.
I was going to say.
That's what the referee's job is.
We'd rather you walk out the ring than get carried out the ring.
You never see a fighter happy with a towel getting thrown in or getting stopped. I've been on the end of it, I've been stopped, had towels thrown in, but I was 2 rounds down. I've nearly gone 2 rounds down and was never going to win the fight. So corner stop it, referee stop it. Like,
safety. That is the biggest thing taken from your event is that everybody left safe.
And that's the main thing.
They might have had a couple of wee bruises and stuff like that there, as you'd expect, but literally everybody walked out of that place with
having a couple of beers or get up the road, having a takeaway and go to bed and wake up the next day happy. And that's so you can hope for when it's all finished. So
it was so good, man.
What was impressive actually as well as, and I don't think I caught it on camera, I might have caught it, is as he gets hit and he's down, the medic is almost at the ring by the time he's hit the floor, and the ref's like that. So everything was in place to make sure
the safety was there.
It was there. Hopefully, it is on camera. You can see her flying towards that ring
straight over.
And you're thinking, that's great. We're not waiting for somebody to call somebody in.
Come and have a look.
She took the decision. I think if the ref hadn't stopped it,
she would have stepped in
anyway. Clearly hurt. Although 10 seconds later he was fine. But would you have been if he'd have took that punch again?
30 seconds later and taking a second one.
He was capable of getting a second punch like that. Let's not get ourselves. But
I think even on the safety aspect on the last event, there was a stoppage. Same thing, paramedic was straight over. It was a body shot. Took them out the ring, wanted to give them a check up in the back, and we just completely paused the boxing. I think we did like a 25-minute delay, but we weren't in a position where we were going to allow any boxing to take part in that ring until she was back ringside.
I was going to say, could you imagine?
But even, we could, there'd probably events where they just go, I should be back in 10 minutes, just throw the next one in and let's get us nipped. But everybody's kind of sitting about, why is the boxing not started? Well, we'll not be starting until the medics are at ringside.
Good. It's good. It's so good to see, because I think we've talked about this in the interview with yourself. We've talked about it in our interviews, that white collar boxing gets such a poor reputation, especially down south, because it is just about making money for some folks.
I've seen some pretty bad promotions down south. Stuff, guys with no wraps on and trainers and
absolutely, and like, what is going
10
on?
10-ounce gloves.
And I think your event was a million miles away from what most people think. White collar boxing's about, because it wasn't about. And I think I've said this a few times now. The image in your head is a fat guy that sits behind a desk all day who wants to slap his pal that's been, insulting him for a wee bit. Yours was so far away from that, it was unbelievable.
I think that's what we've always tried to achieve. I think for being around boxing for so long, I've boxed in white collar shows, amateur shows. You get to take wee bits of what you would improve and what you would change for all these different shows, and then combine it into one, and then just hope that it works. And obviously, it does get a bad rep, and hopefully try to push that reputation away and trying to show what can be done if you do it right, and you keep the fighters in mind, and you're not just trying to turn a massive profit on everyone and just fire through fights. Like, there's some shows I've seen shows with 36 fights on the card. They're just like starting at 12 in the afternoon.
It's just about money, though. That's all that is. I think 10 fights was good with the break in between. That was really, really good, because it made it an actual event.
Rather than structure to it.
That was, it's like going to a concert or to a comedy show. There's a break in the middle, and there's always this, that pause where everybody gets to calm down.
And
as well. So
reset, get a drink, get back, and
brought the crowd down, because I think some of the crowd there were supporting 2 or 3 fighters. So which was good, because that shows that whole team thing was clearly driven home properly.
And it keeps that atmosphere as well, because people don't just watch the fighter and then leave, because they'll stay for the full event.
I noticed that a lot with filming the crowd and things like that, because at one point we were like, somebody's cheering down there, but then somebody else is cheering out there. But like, they were just cheering for that guy.
That's like the guy Robert.
They try and run back.
He actually was a kind of later stand-in. He stepped in to box the boy Feast Bride. He fought, and he was like, do you know what, I'm stepping in last minute, I'm not actually going to say to many people in it and come in, I'll just get in, get a bit of experience. He's had one fight before, so he was happy to step in. and he turned out he knew like 15, 20 people that were there already. So he says, I never actually sold any tickets, but I turned up and there was 20 odd people there cheering for me, and I'd never actually expected it.
Well, it was Max's mum. She actually spotted me because I worked with Max's mum.
Oh,
I didn't realise.
Wow.
And she spotted me a mile away for walking in the front. I was like, all right, what's happening? I was like, good luck to your boy. They were fantastic though. Them two,
really
Max
good,
and Max,
really talented.
both of them. Anybody could have won that fight.
Yep,
anybody could have won the fight. Did you have a favourite fight from this event? Obviously, not doing it in a biased way where you're like, oh, it's because my mate and whatever. Like, I'm just as a pure, because you were obviously ringside as well.
So
I know you were in the corner for somebody.
For David Arrow's fight.
Yep.
So David, he came in kind of halfway through the last camp. We were struggling for an opponent. He'd been kind of about the gym. He was in sparring. One of the coaches, Fitzy, who's actually interviewed, made sure he gets interviewed. He'd spotted him in sparring, and we were looking for someone for Ahmad, who was fighting on the show, for Miles. It was another really, really good fight as well.
That was.
Never had an opponent for him. Approached him. He came on board kind of halfway through. Trained, done the camp, went in. Great fight, but lost. I think he took it quite to heart. And as well, he'd never had the full camp. So I said to him, listen, you came in late, but you still, went 3 rounds. It went a decision. It was not a walkover by any means. And I think it was literally like the next week he was in the gym. And he was going to like the fitness classes. He was coming in the class that I run on a Wednesday. It's just a conditioning class. He was coming in doing a conditioning class. Started taking 1-to-1s with me every Saturday morning. He was running 5-10Ks. Never missed a single 5 o'clock in the morning run. He was there all the time. So to see him getting that win was quite big.
Good.
Because I knew how badly he took it for losing his last fight. But then he took it as a positive and he just threw everything else in it for the rest of the camp.
A lot of the guys backstage were like, don't use this as a negative, that you've got to be, like, use that as motivation to come back next time or the time after, improve your camp, improve what you know that you needed to improve. Learn and take it as a learning curve.
So that was definitely one of the kind of top ones. Barry's fight as well. That was
good, man.
Actually for the fighter of the night. The fighter of the night was decided by the timekeeper. So we took it out of our hands. We're like, for fairness, we'll just take timekeepers in the prime position to watch it. And it was between Div and Barry.
And Div won, didn't it?
Div.
It was so good though. It was like you knew that coming into it wasn't professional boxers.
And we try not to pretend. Try to have that.
But you could have watched that, and we were like, some of them are actually better than professional boxers. I felt like with a lot of more training behind some of them, I'm like, they boys could be boxers.
100%.
Like, if they wanted to.
And I think that's where we speak about the kind of bad reputation that white collar gets. Is a lot of people go, oh, it's taking people away from amateurs background or doing different things. And I don't think they realise that we're not targeting kids at 15, 16 that are going to go down an amateur route and maybe go into Scotland development or whatever. You're talking guys in their mid-20s, early 30s, sometimes older. They can't walk in and go and do that because that ship sailed.
Yeah, they've missed that opportunity.
I hung the gloves up for the amateurs at 30 because I was in fighting 21, 22 year olds and had 2 kids at home and was trying to maintain training 6 days a week and having a family. So for a lot of these guys and girls, this is the only way they'll ever get to do it. And a lot of the times you see people saying that boxing statistically is on the way down. Your other sports like mixed martial arts and stuff are on the way up. But that's, I think, caused by the fact that a lot of gyms at 30-year-olds, you can't walk in and just go and spar and go and train because you need to go down that other pathway. But you can walk into a Muay Thai gym or an MMA gym and say, I want to train, I want to spar, I want to thingy, and they'll be like, there you go, there's the gloves, like, come on, we'll train you. So we're giving people that avenue that maybe have missed the boat to be able to have that experience, as we say. But it's not just let's pretend to be boxers. You'll be vigorously trained and there'll be a level to it.
And would that be something that you would look to do in the future then? For, say, somebody like me, I took a keen interest in it and I was like, I loved that event, that was great. I might never be ready to fight or anything like that, but would that be something that you would do in the sense that you might welcome someone in that is? So I'm now getting on a bit. I'm 30 next year, right? So I'm getting on a bit. But God, I know. I mean, shoot, man, right? But like that, like, so that somebody like myself could come up and go to a class like that sort of idea.
Yeah, definitely.
It takes away from your class. Yours is for the fitness,
it's a different thing.
It's a different thing. You know what I mean? It's a different thing. Because then you know what I mean. It could be down the line, say your 5th event, your 6th event, or whatever.
Just getting that.
And you're like,
taster.
listen, he's actually ready to go.
Definitely. And we'll always, as well, push people in the right direction of beginners classes and stuff. That go to gyms and go and do the beginners classes, then come back to us if you don't want to come in completely raw. Like I had a guy actually message for this show. He's like, listen, I've never done anything, so don't know whether to come in and do this one or do the next one. And I was like, right, well, if you go to this gym, that gym, they do beginners classes. There's 6 weeks to the next show. Go and do that for 6 weeks and then come back in 6 weeks and start the show. And then you've learned the basics, you've learned a bit of footwork, punches, you're a bit more confident, and then you can step in. So that kind of seems to be working as well, because we're happy just to send people off in different directions if they need it, to get that wee bit of extra training when we're not necessarily there.
That's class. Really good, honestly.
Do you know, it's interesting, like you said, not to take away from me. Boxing is such a wide sport.
Yeah.
People just see that you stand in the ring and you get punched in the face. Yeah, that's boxing to a lot of people. Whereas my classes are for people that don't want to get punched in the face.
Yeah.
You know, there's no chance of getting, unless you're a complete idiot like me.
Incorrect paddle.
Yeah. There's no chance of getting punched in the face when you
Yeah.
come to my class. So you get to box, you get to use the pads, you get to feel like you're part of it, but never have to take the risk.
You don't need to.
Aye.
Well, that's funny. You talk about the Niamh and Naomi. They've trained box fit for probably 6 or 7, maybe 10 years between them. Niamh, especially since she was like a young girl, they've always been in and about the gym for years and years, and they've always done box fit. They've never sparred, never taken that leap into the fight. And then one day they've sat down together and went, you know, it'd be really good if we were actually to have a fight. And I think it was actually only 7 weeks later, because they approached us once we were already a weekend. They'd obviously seen the stuff social media and went, you know what, how would we get involved with this? And I was like, see you Monday night.
Good on them. And they did it for charity, didn't they?
Yeah, we're not a charity event, so to speak, but they asked if they could actually do it and raise money, so they just said a Just Giving page, and we just promoted that for them as well. So
Fantastic.
That's fantastic though. That's so good, and it allows. I mean, you've done a good thing there, and they've done a good thing as well. Honestly, we loved it. I'm really looking forward to going back over all the footage.
That'd be brilliant to see.
I'm looking forward to an invite to the next one.
You'll be there.
Well, we'll be there if you have us, definitely.
That's as subtle as hit.
Depends if you want to work. If you want to work though, or if you want to have your dinner and relax,
see the
it's up to
footage.
you.
That's what it is.
You can have the best seat in the whole place.
I
loved
had a
what we were
great
doing.
seat.
We loved it. We loved being able to go around.
Just freely
the
move
ring,
around and see what was going on.
And as I say, like, I was trying to be mindful of the crowd and things like that, because you don't want to take it away from them being in their way. But every one of them couldn't have been any nicer. And if I needed to get in a shot, they were moving it the way or whatever, because they really cared about the event as well, much as what you do and what we did. Like they cared about it as well, which was nice. Is the next one in the Normandy Hotel as well?
Yes, with the Normandy again, 30th of August. So the training camp starts on the 8th of July.
There you go.
So I've got a nice wee 4 or 5 weeks to relax, but it's already the phone's pinging and just starting to kind of compile this of who's wanting on this one for the last
Do you
one.
feel like maybe a stretched card, or are you going to keep it the same?
I think we'll always try and keep it around 10, but the situation will always dictate, because you don't know the variety of guys and girls that are going to sign up.
Yep.
So if it's 8 different people that are all different weights and sizes, and you realistically can't be matching any of them together, then you're going to need to have more on the card. I'd like to always keep it to a solid 10.
Yep.
I think if you try and push it, you're maybe just getting a bit greedy with it, and then people might get a bit bored.
Yeah.
But the situation will always dictate. If we need to, I'm not going to turn around to someone and say, I stick it at 10. Putting you on means I'm going to be 11, so I'm just going to cut you off it.
Yeah.
So if it needs to be, we would push to 11 or 12 at a very max. I think it would be.
From that point of view, it's good. 10 is a lovely number.
Yep.
The time that you know, the first fight went off, and then when it finished, the last fight, and we said thanks and everything else, and was a really good time, because it wasn't that you weren't.
It was just kind of after 11 o'clock, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was still early enough that you think, I've had a great night, I've had a good few drinks or whatever, but it's not tomorrow morning.
Yeah, the early hours.
For me,
I mean, I can vouch. I mean, I've did events where, I mean, we were choreographing shows for people, and they ran over, and they didn't want to finish until 12 o'clock. And then by that point, somebody gets announced as a winner, literally everybody's up and gone. So nobody actually enjoys the night. Whereas I felt like people were allowed to relax and enjoy the night.
I think for the boxers, it's a lot as well. Like when I boxed, I remember boxing at a hotel in Rutherglen and walking to the ring at 12:10 at night. And I worked in an office at the time, and I'd done a 9 to 5 shift in an office, and then drove straight over for the weigh-in. And then at one point was lying trying to sleep on a couch in the reception, waiting to go out and box at like nearly 12 midnight. on a Friday night. Like, it's a long wait, especially with folk haven't boxed before, and that anxiety's building up, and they're just getting more stressed. Heart rate's starting to spike, and then they're in. And the 3 2-minute rounds becomes pretty difficult when the heart rate's already through the roof before they've stepped in there. Yeah. You try to explain to them it's like fighting in an empty room, but they don't listen.
Nah, they don't listen. Nah. And I think as well, because obviously the lights were off in the ring, and then as soon as we figured out the lights and stuff like that, how much it would have thingied them knowing that how bright it was. Because I'm like, they wouldn't have been able to see probably the audience at some point, when the bright lights and stuff like that are on. But just your event was absolutely amazing. I'm really. Oh, and it was a credit to you guys, so well done for you guys putting it on, and the team that did it.
I hope the video footage does it justice. Actually,
I'm sure it will.
I really do.
I really do. It was great, honestly.
Absolutely phenomenal night. Phenomenal. I loved it. I think I sat down the whole night. But I don't think I ever felt like I needed to. As well,
my back was going at one point, but I was like, but it was going because we were working hard, and I was constantly on my feet because I felt like there was no point me sitting down because I would have missed something, because everything was happening at the one time. There wasn't like I was like, right, I'll just try and get a wee shot of somebody punching somebody's face in. It wasn't working like that because people were being skillful the way we were doing it. They were technically.
You don't know when the next wee good combination is going to come. It's not just a toe-to-toe where they're standing in the middle of the ring just throwing shots, seeing who falls down first.
It was so good. I think for like the kind of way to kind of wrap it up for us is how would people get in touch with you then to join in for either the next camp or the camp after?
So if you just jump onto the Instagram page, 4CBX 4 Corners Boxing Experience, and there's a little sign up button just on the kind of top near the profile picture. If that doesn't work, you can just drop a DM and we'll get back to you straight away, usually within the hour, with the kind of details, and you're welcome to come along on the first night and give it a bash, and if it's for you, it's for you. If it's not, it's no harm done. There's no pressure. Like, you speak to any of the fighters on it, it was kind of zero pressure. Everything, like I said, they're pushing themselves to go that wee bit further in training. It's that old saying, you get what you put in. So
definitely 100%. And what about I would love to. I would maybe not. That sounded
like a commitment there.
maybe no. I don't think I'd be ready for this one. I think I'd have to go for the November.
I'm going to be right honest right now. You said burpee and that was me out. I'm not doing a burpee for anybody.
Well, that's why they were all really watching Robert's fight, because he wanted to see him getting punched and give him all the burpees. And they were all standing at the corner just wringing their hands.
Slap him again.
But I think maybe to talk about, actually, just let her know, to finish it off there, but I'm just noticing obviously in your programme here that you've got sponsors. Can people sponsor fights and things like that?
So these are all just local companies or people that have approached us, or the fighters have brought their mates. I've got barbering companies, or I think there's a couple of home improvements, accountancy and stuff. They just literally get in touch as well. We'll be taking another 10 sponsors on for the next show. So
there you go. So if anybody else is listening, they want to get involved,
just drop us a message. I think the last 30 days we hit 12k views on the page just off the back of that show. Well, we were sitting at 9, and then within 24 hours of the show it had fired to 12. So it was, I think, like 3,000 within the first.
Hopefully with this footage as well, that'll just
keep ramping up.
And it'll actually show you how good of a night it actually was.
Absolutely. Quality of every part of the night.
It was, down to the fighting and stuff.
I'm glad that came across. It was one of the things, you have a vision and you just hope it turns out the way that you want it.
No, Jalen enjoyed it. As someone that's a casual boxing fan, I really enjoyed it. Really good. But what about yourself then, for your socials? How would the lovely people find you?
Well, you can go on to I think Facebook really for me, from OPT, because I'm an old man. So
everybody's got their preferences, socials and stuff like that.
Do you know what? I spend all day telling people, get yourself on TikTok, get yourself on Instagram.
I'm trying my best. I keep trying to copy the videos over, but
I'm terrible. I'm the world's worst at it. I don't know how to use TikTok. I don't know how to use Instagram properly. So you'll find me OPT Fitness on Facebook, and that's it.
We'll get my channel set up. He might need Studio 23 to help him for that sort of stuff. And I'll give you help as well, don't worry.
And there's a podcast as well.
And there's a podcast. OPT podcast.
Yep. So as well. So we're going to get a few... I've already spoken to a couple of the boys that have got their own sort of stuff going on. And we're going to get them on the OPT.
Nice.
Have a chat with them as well about their... Well, I'm sure we'll go touch on their experience of the night. But also of their own businesses and stuff like that as well.
Brilliant.
So, looking forward to it.
That'll be good.
Relaunching the podcast.
That's it. I know. We need to get relaunched for him. Listen, mate, I can't thank you enough for coming along.
Thanks very much for having me. It's been great. Thanks for coming again. It was...
No, listen, mate, we'll be there. You want us there, we'll be there. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And thanks very much for tag teaming for this one.
Absolutely. Listen, honestly, it was a night out. It was just a night out for me. It was so good.
It was
Loved
so
it.
good.
Loved it.
It
Loved
was.
every minute of it. So didn't feel like work at all.
That's it. And if you loved watching this podcast, then please feel free to subscribe, leave us a wee like, a comment, let us know if you're maybe interested in taking part in the 4CBX experience. We can obviously then pass your details, hopefully, over to Ross, and we can get somebody to get in touch with you. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, you can leave a review. Please do it. It really does help. If you leave 5 stars, then it makes it look as if we are doing something right. So, you know what I mean? Come on, just do it, all right? But listen, thank you so much for watching, folks, and we'll see you in the next one.